Wewe ulijua mahali nyumba ya watu wako? Kwa hiyo matope yote.
Kwa hiyo nyumba yote ilikuwa zote zimeoshwa.
Zote zimebebwa.
Zote zilikuwa zimeoshwa. Hiyo mboma ya hiyo Rad Road ilioshwa pamoja na yeye na wenye walikuwa naishi huko. So ilikuwa tu ni mchanga tu hivi. Na hatungeweza kufikia huku kulingana na vile ilikuwa giza, tulikuwa tunamulika na simu. Giza ilikuwa, maposti ya stima ilikuwa imeangushwa hivyo.
So the following morning, sasa kumepambauka, mnaanza kuona. Tell us what you saw. Hiyo asubuhi sasa nyinyi wote sasa mnaona mnaona mahali maji imetoka, mahali maji imepitia, zile nyumba zimeoshwa. Hebu tuambie kulikuwa kuna kaje?
Hiyo asubuhi wakati tuliingia huko ilikuwa bado hatukuwa tumepata watu wote. Kwanza mimi kijana yangu hiyo siku amempata asubuhi hiyo. Nikaingia shule huku kwa shule nikitafuta wanafunzi wengine wale walikuwa wako wakisoma na yeye. Wakaniambia hawamuoni, hako kwao. Nikamtafuta, ikabidi magari yale yalikuwa yakikimbia Nakuru, nikaingia. Nikaenda mpaka Nakuru. Nikampata kwa mochari. Huyu mtoto mwingine aliyeponea, huyo mdogo wa miezi 6, yeye alitolewa hapo akapelekwa kwa hospitali.
Alitolewa na nani?
Na watu wale walikuwako wakiokoa.
Walimpata wapi?
Walimpata hapo kwa karibu na shule hiyo ya Nyakenywa, kwa matope na mama yake ndio amelalia matope, lakini mtoto wako kwa shuka amefungwa, ameaga. Sasa wakampeleka kwa hospitali iko hapo ya private, alafu naye akachukuliwa pia akakimbizwa maili 10. Alipokimbizwa maili 10, sasa nilipotafuta ile kijana nikampata, nikakuja nikapata nyanya yake, yani bibi yangu. Nikamwambia mtoto ako maili 10. Sasa achukue process ya kuenda kumchukua kwa maili 10. Na akaingia kwa DO, akaandikiwa barua, akaenda akamchukua, kumrejesha nyumbani. Sasa nikae na yeye. Ikakuwa hivyo. Sasa kulikuwa na mambo mengi, watu hata hawakuwa wanapata watu wao hapo, wengine maana walichukuliwa wakipelekwa kwa mochari Nakuru. Sasa tulipofika wakati ya kuandaa na kuandikisha, ndio tuliweza kupata ratiba mzuri ya vile watu wako. Kwa sababu wengine hata walikuwa na shida na watu wao kulingana na vile walikuwa wamegongwa na mamawe hivi huko na matope.
Sasa hizo asubuhi watu walijua nini imetendeka?
Watu walijua
maji imetoka wapi?
Hata usiku walikuwa najua sababu maji inatoka juu inateremka.
It's a tragic one. It's a tragic one and people went through a lot. Sasa siku baadaye umeweza kupanga mazishi, umeweza kujikusanya, umeenda umechukua mjukuu wako, umekuja naye umemleta nyumbani, na wengine ambao wako hospitali wamepeleka hospitali. Hiyo community sasa ilianza kujipanga kivipi?
Baada ya mazishi tulipanga mazishi na tukazika wa jamii zetu, na serikali ilikuwa miongoni mwetu, ndio ilikuwa msaada. Maana chifu ambao wako kama assistant chief wa hiyo area energy inaitwa Nyeri. Lazima angeshughulika kwa sababu ni sehemu yake imeharibika. Kwa hivyo tulikuwa tunafuatilia kupanga rekodi huko. Na mimi niko katika kitengo cha hiyo administration kidogo, kwa sababu mimi ninaenda katika hiyo hizo ofisi. So hakuna kitu kingepita bila mimi kuwa karibu. Hata wakati ya kufanya mazishi tukapanga na DC huko kwa Nakuru, hata kwa moja tulikuwa tunaenda pamoja, mipango mingi. So kutoka hapo tulipomaliza hali ya kupanga mazishi, serikali ikasimamia kuleta jamii zetu, tukaziweka mahali tulikuwa tunaziweka. So tena tukaingia, mimi nikaambia watu hii mambo si kama ile ya Kirachis, kwa sababu Kirachis ilikuja na utofauti wa maneno, na watu wengine wameanza kuingia kama mawakili, wengine wameanza kukuja kisiasa. Sasa tukaona hii maneno itakuwa ingine. Mimi nikaita watu, nikaambia tuende ofisi ya ICC. Tukaenda hapo, tukamwambia sisi tunataka kupanga kwa sababu hata misaada ambayo inakuja, wale watu ambao wamekuwa wamefiwa hawako katika ile misaada, kwa sababu mtu wako kwa maombolezo, hana haja ya kuchukua mati ya nguo. Mtu huyo alikaa hivyo akanyamaza. Wengine walikuwa wamestuka mawazo, hawakuwa wanaelewa. So tulipoenda huko, nikaongea na ICC, nikamwambia tunataka mipangilio, kwa sababu hawa watu hawasaidiki kulingana na bidhaa zimepeanwa na watu wahisani wema wa nchi na wengine, lakini hasiingii kwenye wenye wameadhirika, zinaonekana zinaenda hivi. So akaniambia fanya hivi sasa, nyinyi jipangeni na mchaguane, ndio kuwe na kamati ambayo itakuwa ikielekeza mambo. Na tukafanya hivyo. Tukachaguana na ni watu walituchagua. Wale tulikuwa na hawa. Tulipochaguliwa, baada ya siku chache tulipochaguana, tukaanza ratiba zetu kujipangia, na tulipofika mahali ikakuwa ni changamoto, kwa sababu ni kama vitu zinachukuliwa tu hivi, kuhamishwa, haziingii kwa laini vizuri, kupeanwa vile. Mimi nikatoka hapo nikaenda kwa DC. Kulingana na vile ilikuwa na joto mingi ya kisiasa, mimi nikamwambia tunataka kuzima hii mikutano, kwa sababu inatusukuma. Watu wanakuja wanaleta maneno hii, wengine wanaleta maneno hii.
Watu wa siasa.
Haya. Na hiyo siasa hatukutaka, kwa sababu watu bado wako kwa maombolezo. Na watu wamekaa hivyo, misaada ambayo inakuja haieleweki vile inakuwa. Akaniuliza tutaweza kusimamisha hiyo maneno? Nikamwambia hiyo tutaenda, nitaongea na watu na tusimamishe. Kuna misaada mnaweza saidia watu, maana manyumba zimeenda na kumenyamaza namna hiyo. Akaniambia kama kunawezekana hiyo mambo ikisimama, serikali itaweza rudi, lakini ikiwa ni mambo ya kisiasa haiwezekani, kwa sababu hii naleta hii na ile naleta ile. Nilipotoka tulikuwa tumeenda kama watu 5 huko kwa DC. Nilipotoka huko, nikiwa jiani, akanipigia simu, akaniambia kama vile ulikuwa ukiongea, mimi nitaweza panga mipango ya kesho tuwe huko, na si ati nitapanga hiyo, lazima kesho nikuje nione ni namna gani. Dakika chache akanipigia, akaniambia president wa Red Cross Abbas Gureti, tutakuja na yeye kesho, kwa sababu tungependa kusaidia watu ya Sorai, lakini mambo ile iko ndio tulinyamaza. Nikamwambia kujeni, nikaambia watu wangu, mmesikia vile tumeongea na wakubwa, kwa hivyo kesho wanakuja. Na walifika. Na tukaenda kwa mkutano wa hema moja. Tulifanya mkutano kwa hema moja.
Hao watu wote wa hizi vijiji zote,
hao watu victims, wale waathiriwa halisi.
Okay.
Unajua katika listi za waathiriwa kuja mingi sana, wengine wanasema 4,000 na 100,600, wengine tunasikia inatangazwa 5,000, lakini wakati wote mimi nimefanya mikutano nimefanya na regional commissioner wakati wa kufungia maneno hatukuwa tumeweka hema mbili, tulikuwa ni hema moja tu ndio ilikuwa ni ya waathiriwa. So hizi hema mingi na hiyo hema 5,000 na 4,000 hakuna mahali nilipata imefanywa ya victim inajadiliano.
Wacha tufanye break kwanza. Then we come back and continue this conversation to just get to understand what exactly happened, how the owners of the farm also engaged the community and what they have done so far, how the community has been able to move on from this, or have they been able to move on, especially these ones who are directly affected, the first ones from the energy village, whose homes and everything and property was demolished. Where are they now? This is Kenya's Biggest Conversation. This morning hosting Stephen Jogona Nganga. He's the organizing secretary of the Solai Dam victims. These are the victims of the 2018 tragedy in Solai, where a dam burst its banks and went into villages and left 47 people dead. More than 160 people as victims. Those who lost their property, those who were orphans, those whose houses and were demolished, those whose farms were also destroyed. Kenya's Biggest Conversation tells you about Boma Yangu, which is the government's affordable housing platform, bomayangu.go.ke. If you go to bomayangu.go.ke, you'll be able to register, and that's what you're required to do. Register. To register means that you are then putting yourself into the eligibility list for people who would benefit from the happening across the country. Remember, affordable housing, the government has said it's going to have an affordable housing project in each of the 290 constituencies in Kenya. So there will be many houses. Do you want to be part of this? All you need to do is first register on Boma Yangu, and then after that, once the house is ready, you get into eligibility and they contact you and they tell you, here is a home. Start your home ownership journey, including rent to pay, rent to earn, and all. Rent to own, rather, and all. And all you have to do is register www.bomayangu.go.ke. Time for that break. Back shortly.
Only way to start your day.
Revenge is for children. It's for kids. I hope you realize the best revenge you can take on someone is to
just name it. It is why some political that is anyway in the job the general, whether it's corruption, whether it's chosen to then we that you
Kenya's Biggest Conversation.
Some sunshine in Nairobi at 14 degrees, highs of 24, and lows of 20. Nakuru, highs of 26, and we'll see highs of 20. It's cloudy at 15 in one low 18. The sun is 24. We'll see highs of 26. It's cloudy at 20, highs of 31, highs of 30, mostly cloudy, Omega at 80. To Kampala, it's sunny at 17, highs of 20, mostly 25, 31. It's mostly cloudy in Johannesburg, highs of 10, and at 25, at of 25. We'll see lows of 20 in a mostly clear 20. So Africa
Intelligent talk every morning. Up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It is. And sometimes expensive. And sometimes folks have gone for pre-owned vehicles. Now, guess what? CFAO Motors, previously Toyotsu Automat, has a subsidiary. It's called Automark. What Automark does is that it has identified vehicles that have been pre-owned, making sure that the mileage they tell you that's available on that vehicle is actually the mileage. So you're staying away from conmen, you're staying away from middlemen, you're staying away from anybody who might come and bring in any other challenges from you. Automark says, we find these vehicles for you. We actually also set up financing. We make sure that what you're looking for in the market, we get to you, a range of vehicles. So Automark, which is then the pre-owned section of this organization, is saying, we can make the car search easier for you. And it's just over here in South Sea. And they're saying, you know what, come on down, look at the options that are available, and let's see how we can make car ownership easier, more affordable, and get rid of the drama of conmen, illegitimate mileage numbers, all
those
these
ones.
other things. You see? Get those out of the way.
They tinker with your mileage. Hii haijaenda sana. 30,000
only. Then you drive it one day, the thing falls apart. No. They're saying, with us, Automark, that is not going to happen. You can trade in, you can switch up and get onto the other side of car ownership with Automark.
Kabisa. As we continue the conversation about water, let's also remember about helping people get access to safe drinking water, walking to Naivas, and you buy Colgate. And once you buy Colgate, you're helping sink one of 30 water wells that will help 150,000 people. Stephen Jogonanganga is the organizing secretary of the Solai Dam victims. He's here with us in the studio this morning. We are talking about the tragedy that happened in 2018 and how the victims have been coping, and especially also how the case is going on in court and what kind of support they're getting from well-wishers, from government, and even from the family. So Jogona, sasa tuambie hii shamba ya Mansuklal Patel, hii wakati wote mkiongea na watu wa Red Cross, Assistant County Commissioner and all, how ngumza nao mwenye shamba
wakati tulikuwa tunaongea tukiwa waadhiriwa kwa hema, walikuwa na sababu moja: hatutaki kwenda kotini. Kwa maana mimi nilitangulia na kamati ya bunge, National Parliamentary Committee, iliongozwa na mbunge wa Ijara akiandamana na mbunge wa Subukia, sababu sisi tuko kwa Subukia constituency. Wakakuja wakatupata, na mimi ndio niliongea nikwambia kuna ungumu, wale watu wamesalia hapa, wengine ni watoto, wale wamewachwa, wengine hawana njia kufanya kesi. Hatutaki kufanya kesi, tunataka tukubaliwe na tukubaliane kuongea na mwenye shamba.
Okay.
Na mimi nikaahidiana na hawa, hatufanyi kesi kotini. Kulingana na waadhiriwa, wanasema wanataka kujadiliana na huyo mwenye shamba.
Na mlikuwa mnataka nini mkikutana na yeye? Mlikuwa mnataka nini kwa hiyo mtu wa shamba?
Huyo mtu wa shamba, wengine watu walikuwa wanafanya kazi hata huku, kama huyo msichana yangu. Na ilikuja kuwa unajua kuna security ya mahali, na uwezi pita tu hivyo. Na watu ambao wameadhirika ni jirani, wengine wanafanya hata saa hii wanafanya kazi huko, na mtu amekuwa ameoshwa kila kitu. Wao walikuwa wanasema sisi hataki kufanya kesi, wakatuma Ambasi enda kwa Muhindi, sisi hatutaki hiyo mvurutano, maana hata zile vitu zilikuwa zinakuja, si nimewaambia zilikuwa zinaenda hivi.
Steve, lazima nikuulize hizi vitu ambao unasema umezitaja mara kadhaa. Nini zilikuwa zinakuja na nani alikuwa analeta?
Watu walijitolea misaada. Na wakati watu walijitolea, ndio nimewaeleza mtu akiwa maombolezi haoni kitu cha maana.
No, haoni.
Na wakati tulikuja kumaliza mazishi, watu bado wale walikuwa kwa maombolezi walikuwa wanahitaji. Na wao ambao hawakuwa wakiomboleza walikuwa wamekuja mbele na kuchukua vitu.
Hizi vitu ambavyo
zilikuwa zimepewa.
Na ni vitu aina gani ambavyo vilikuwa vimeletwa? Kuna
blanketi, kuna hii mangondoro, kuna mavazi ambayo watu kama unajitolea shati yako unaleta. So wale watu wa maombolezi walikuwa kwa maombolezi hawakuwa na haja. Walikuwa wakiomboleza. Walikuwa
kwenye hali ya huzuni.
Na wakati walimaliza mazishi walikuwa wameshindwa ni nini itakuwa. Hapo ndio tulijipanga na kuchaguana ili kila msaada ukija wapate hata angalau kusaidika. Na hapo ndio ACC akasema kila msaada ukikuja, maana kamati imechaguliwa, unapitia kwa kamati. Aliposema hivyo, hakuna msaada mwingine ulikuja. Hakuna msaada mwingine ilikuja hapo. Hiyo ikaipita. Nilikuwa nimefikia mahali pale ya DC na president wa Red Cross. Hapo ndio nilikuwa nimefikia. Wakati walikuja, mimi niliambiwa enda uangalie mahali unaona manyumba hizo wewe zimebomoka. Mimi ndio nilitangulia. Zile nyumba zimejengwa na Red Cross 37. Mimi nikaenda peke yangu hivi kwa stream hii, nikaona, nikaandika kwa kitabu kidogo ya exercise, nikakuja. Kesho yake ACC na mmoja wa Red Cross anaitwa Kiboi wakakuja. Tukaenda through na chief. Wakaenda wakisoma kwa ile kitabu, wanauliza mtu jina, wanaona, wana confirm. Tulifanya siku moja kwa hiyo stream, tukamaliza saa 11. Hawa laini ya waadhiriwa hawa tukamaliza na tukaweka hapo, tukaweka sahihi. Hizo nyumba zikapitishwa zijengwe. Red Cross ikakuja ikajenga. Imejenga nyumba ya milioni 1. Kila nyumba ilikuwa, kila mtu inajengewa nyumba ya milioni 1. Nyumba 37. Sasa hapo tukatoka. Tukaona bado hii shida ya kelele na mikutano na nini inatusumbua. Sisi tukajadiliana wenyewe na waadhiriwa, na mbunge akakuja, alikuwa ametuletea kama msaada ya mahindi. Nikamwambia hii shida hatutaki iwe ya kirashis, tunataka sisi tukae tuelewane na tusaidike kidogo. Yeye mwenyewe akatoa shilingi 1,000. Nilimwambia tunataka tusaidike kwa njia hii, tunaweza register hii hawa waadhiriwa. Yeye mwenyewe akatoa shilingi 1,000, akanipatia mbele ya watu, akaniambia wewe fanya hiyo, tarahisha hii maneno. Waadhiriwa wakatoa shilingi, kila mtu shilingi 20. Nikaenda kwa social service, tukakaa mahali na kamati yangu, kapeleka kwa social service, tukamaliza, tukapata certificate. Tulipofikia hapo, mambo ikaanza kuwa sasa, wale kuna watu wanaitwa human right wakaingia. Wanasema hii wakatuita. Mimi nikaenda hoteli moja inaitwa Jerika pale Nakuru. Nikaangalia vile wanaongea, nikasikiliza, nikaona hawa watu wanapoteza akili ya watu.
Kwa nini?
Kwa maana kunileta kwa hoteli nikiwa watu kama 20, waadhiriwa wengine tumewacha huko. Hakuna record tumeweka. Tukarudi huko Surai. MC akaitana na hawa wakakuja na mawakili. Mimi nikawaambia iwapo itaendelea hivi mimi sitakuwako.
Kwa nini?
Kwa sababu mimi sioni mwelekeo ya hii maneno. Na kamati tulichaguliwa pale kwa ACC na waadhiriwa. Mimi nikatoka nje. Waadhiriwa wakasema kama Steven hayuko hapa, sisi hatutafanya uchaguzi hiyo. Mimi nikawa nje. Wakasema lazima niwe hapa. Tukaendelea, nikawaambia sioni haja ya kuendelea na human right, kwa sababu kuna karatasi mumeleta tunasoma na mawakili na kuna watu hawajui kusoma. Hii karatasi nilipoipata nikaisoma, nikawauliza wakili, mbona unasema nimekubali kukupatia kila kitu yangu unisimamie kwa maandishi yako? Wewe umeandika hivyo na umeandika na wale wasomi hiyo. Mimi sitakuwa kwa human right, sitakuwa popote, nitakuwa independent na nitakuwa na waadhiriwa, tutakaa pamoja.
Na hiyo ilikuwa miaka gani?
Ilikuwa tu hiyo 2018 hapo tu wakikuja.
Steven, kuna tumefikia sehemu fulani ambapo mkubwa wa Red Cross alikuwa amepewa kazi ya kwenda kuongea na mwenye shamba. Hiyo iliendaje?
Wakati tulifanya mkutano wa kwanza tukampea kazi hiyo ya kwenda kuongea na mwenye shamba. Akakuja akatuambia si nyinyi tu mnafanyaga kazi huko, na si mnaendaga hata huko kufanya kazi na nyinyi ni wa hapa na nyinyi ni majirani, si mnaweza tu jipanga muende muongee. Haya, hiyo ikawa mara ya kwanza. Mara ya pili na ndio ilikuwa ya mwisho, ilikuwa ni ya kufunga ratiba ya wao kwa kazi ya ile walikuwa wakifanya Red Cross. Tukafanya mkutano, nasema tu hapa tu nyinyi bado watu mnafanya kazi huko, si mungeweza tu kuenda mjipange muongee huko. Lakini haikuwezekana.
Kwa nini?
Hiyo ndio swali. Kwa sababu kulingana na ile changamoto zilikuwako area hiyo. Na unajua hiyo shamba imezingirwa, iko na security kali, iko na security hiyo shamba. Kwa sababu watu kulingana na vile wako wanaweza kuwa wakiharibu kitu ya mtu. Sasa ilikuwa uchukue hatua ya appointment, sababu huwezi kwenda tu hivi kwa mtu mkae hivi muongee ati umekuja muongee na yeye hayuko, haishi huko, maana hako hapo,
lazima mpange.
Hako Nairobi na anakuja wakati fulani. Ile njia ilikuwa ni kujipanga kufanya communication ya appointment.
Ulifanya?
Kabla ifike hapo tukasikia kesi imeenda kotini.
Nani alipeleka kesi kotini?
Haya, mara ya kwanza tukasikia MCA amepeleka kesi kotini. Tukakaa. Human right nao ndio hao wameregister, wanasema ati wameweka sasa, mawakili wameanza kushughulika kupeleka kesi kotini. Sisi tukakaa kwanza, nikafikiria, tukaona hii maneno imekuwa ingine.
Waadhiriwa hawakupeleka kesi kotini?
Waadhiriwa walikuwa wanasema, na wakati wa mwisho hiyo ilikuwa ya kufunga na regional commissioner alikuwa. Mimi ndio niliongea kwanza na kamati ambayo niko ndani yake. Wakati nilimaliza kuongea, kamati ikasimamishwa hapo, ikaitwa, ikaambiwa simameni hapa. Waadhiriwa wakaulizwa, ni mtu gani katika hii kamati mnataka aondolewe? Mara 3 wakasema hakuna hata mmoja wanataka. Lakini mimi nilikuwa ninasema ninaweza toka hapo kwa hii kamati, sababu hii maneno ninaona inanisumbua. Lakini wakati walisema hivyo, regional commissioner akasema hivi, kama hamtaki kutoa mtu yoyote katika hii kamati ambayo hamuoni amefaa, hakuna kamati ingine itafanya suluhu ya hii mambo yenu isipokuwa hii kamati. Hata hakuna ingine itachaguliwa. Itachaguliwa kufanya nini? na kamati hii inafanya ile mambo inahitajika kwenu na ndio nyinyi mnataka.
So mlienda kotini nini baadaye? Kuna wakati ambapo
sisi hatuna application ya kesi.
Mmetumika wakati wowote kama hii association yako ya victims kama witnesses kwa hii kesi?
Wale wameenda, wale wametumika huko na wale wameitwa huko. Mtu ambaye aliitwa huko akiwa kama witness alikuwa ni chairman.
Chairman wa hii victims, Solidum victims.
Yeah. Anaitwa Pili Koechi.
Peke yake?
Akaitwa. Nimkueleze tu. Akaitwa na ilikuwa kwa scene pale kwa dam hiyo. Hapo ndio aliitwa. Akafanya, akasema na nikasikiliza vile alikuwa akisema. Aliambia
koti.
Alisema? Yeye alisema na yeye alisema yeye ndio chairman wa victim. Na waadhiriwa walisema wanataka dialogue. Akamaliza hivyo, akakaa hivi.
Sasa nataka nikuulize maswali kadhaa. Tuko na dakika 5 tumalize. Nimesikia ukisema wewe kama kiongozi wa victims mlikuwa umetumia maneno hamtaki kitu ikuwe kama post election violence. Namba 2, hamtaki kuwe na mvutano. Nataka muongee na mwenye shamba. Namba 3, wale wengine wa victims wengine hamuwajui, nyinyi mnajua 167 victims. Lakini kuna kesi kotini na ile kesi kotini imepelekwa na serikali. DPP ndiye amepeleka kesi kotini about manslaughter. Inaongoza na ofisi ya DPP. Wamekuwa kotini hapa Naivasha. Kuna witnesses wa hii tendo ambao wameenda na wakazungumza. Na koti ikawasikiza na ikaona kweli hawa ni victims. Kesi inaendelea. Sasa wewe unaweza kuwa unazungumzia kikundi kingine na kuna kingine ambacho ni cha victims ambao wako kotini. Is it possible wewe kuna kikundi ambacho unaongea kuhusu
na kuna nyingine?
Na kuna nyingine ambayo imekuwa recognized hata mpaka na koti.
Sasa mimi kulingana na vile nilikuwa nikiongea ama vile ninaongea, kikundi hiki kimeturegister. Ni kikundi ambacho ni wenye waliadhirika. Na sisi hatukujua kama kuna kesi inapelekwa yetu. Maana sisi tulikuwa tunasema hatutaki kesi yetu kuwa kwa koti. Kwa maana
Steven, lazima nikuulize. Hii familia ya Patel, kuna usaidizi wote ambao wapatia waadhiriwa?
Familia ya Patel kuna msaada ilipea waadhiriwa. Wale walifiwa walikuwa wanapewa shilingi 100,000 kwa ambaye ameaga. Hiyo ni moja. Hao wengine wa business na wengine wa manyumba hivi. Kuna watu walipata hata 1,000,000. Unaona? Kuna msaada walipewa watu. Kama hizo pesa hizo.
Kuna mahali mlikuwa mnaandika?
Unajua kuna cheki ilikuwa inawekwa. Na cheki si ulisahihisha. Na hawa walifanya mambo open kwa sababu walikuwa wanapiga picha. Wameandika na wako na kitabu. Na watu wakati waliitwa kulikuwa na pesa zilikuwa zimesalia kwa serikali. Shilingi ilikuwa sijui 15,000 ama almost 35 hapo. Kwa sababu serikali ilikuwa inatoa shilingi 50,000 na ikapeana sijui 35 ikabaki hizo pesa zingine. Wakati tulikuwa tunauliza hizo pesa sababu tuliambiwa zitakuja. The same day hizo pesa ndizo zilikuja zikapeanwa hata hizo za Patel. Unaona? Kwa hivyo na DC alikuweko na tulikuwa tumefanya mkutano.
Nataka tumalize sasa. Muda wetu umeisha. Una support kesi ikiwa kotini?
Mimi siku support kesi. Si support kesi ya kotini. Kwa sababu hata mimi sijaitwa kwa hiyo koti.
Okay.
Sijaitwa huko. Na mimi ndio muadhiriwa.
Sawa.
Yeah.
Stephen, asante sana for joining us today. Stephen Jogona Nganga is the organizing secretary of the Solai Dam victims, those that were affected in the tragedy that took place in 2018. There's a case in court, and he says, as far as they're concerned, some of these victims don't even know that there's a case in court. Well, this opens up another door. I think we need to pursue it a bit further and see, okay, so what exactly is happening in this community? And how are the victims being treated? Keep it here for more. Good morning, 8 a.m.
News of the day. It's Kisumu links to the financial structure.
Chomwa kwa Kisumu kwa kwa mtu ameenda kama wana wale kwamba mimi kesi tume support wana maandamano
giving Evans was arrested motorist corridor connecting the country's capital to the coastal city of Mombasa. Now, Amnesty International has raised concern over the rising case of police brutality against anti-government protesters. It says has resulted in more than 30 deaths since March. In a statement, Amnesty Executive Director Irungu Houghton called on independent human rights bodies including IPOA and the ODP to probe the deaths and prosecute officers and their commanders who are found culpable. Irungu also urged the relevant authorities to prosecute elected leaders and citizens inciting use of extra force by the police. And the Kikuyu Council of Elders has asked Kenya Council leaders to stop humiliating retired President Uhuru Kenyatta, led by their chairperson Wachira Kiago. The elders have asked William Ruto to stop humiliating Uhuru Kenyatta and from the properties owned by the Kenyatta family. The Kenyatta was forced to hire private security to guard their properties. At the hearing of Sharon Otieno's case against former Migori Governor Justice Cecilia Githua, former Kanyidoto of County Assembly Lawrence Muller, taken to the stand, affected that the wrong university having a relationship with one of his sons named, according to Obadu for the cat of all direct Sharon, that she was repeatedly recording their conversation. I'm Dennis Aseta. Good morning.
Coming in on Jogoro, that's right now. Coming off a
This is the Situation Room, the home of political commentary and trading insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communication expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This, the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
7 minutes after 8. How are you doing? Welcome to the third hour of the Situation Room on this 21st day of July 2023. Kenya's biggest conversation is live everywhere now, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Spice FM, and on KTN Home. Have you walked into Naivas recently? Well, go back there. This time, look for the aisle that has toothpaste and specifically pick Colgate, because when you do this, you're basically helping people who don't have access to safe drinking water get access to safe drinking water. You're going to buy toothpaste anyway, right? Okay, so go buy that in Naivas and make sure that you're buying the brand Colgate, because Colgate is working with its partners and they've identified 30 communities who are currently in the process of benefiting from 30 water wells. And these communities represent more than 150,000 people. Imagine just buying your favorite tube of toothpaste is helping people to smile, and especially those children in those communities. It's an important thing, isn't it? It's a big one. And CT has been following up on what's happening on Showmax. And there's a new series, one of the Showmax originals, the latest Showmax original called Faithless. Third episode of Faithless came out yesterday, CT. You haven't been able to watch it, I'm sure.
No, I haven't.
But you're watching it this weekend.
Yes, I am. There's a stylistic device that is used in literature as in movies. It's called suspense. You know, those who are movie watchers, there's a sound that often introduces suspense. Da-dang. Huh? I think you've all come across that sound, isn't it? All right. Now, this particular episode has that da-dang feature, meaning you are sure things are going to happen and you have this feeling that things are not going to work out very well, that lives are going to change and not for the better, that people's way of everything about the way they've gone about lives will not be the same. And it's all because of this money. Because from this money comes the story of How did it come about? How was it there? Who was involved in bringing it there? Some people died. There was a theft. Now, all these things keep coming together and unraveling bit by bit by bit.
And then you get that ta-dang.
That's when you get that dang sound. Yes.
Episode 3 of Faithless showing on Showmax. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3. If you haven't watched any single one of them, can you imagine this weekend binge watching in this kind of weather? Chill, relax, blanket. Showmax.com. Pay. If you haven't subscribed, then subscribe and watch. Kenyan, very well done. It's a Kenyan and it's a Showmax original. We are going to have a conversation with 2 people. One of them is in the studio already. Justina Wamae is a political commentator and she's a founder of Inatuhusu Movement.
Yes.
Justina, mambo yasiyokuhusu achana nayo, deal na yale yanakuhusu.
Yote yanatuhusu.
Very good. Ni yepi haya yanayotuhusu?
Good morning, Ndu, Eric and City.
Morning.
I'm excited to be here, finally. Sasa, yanayotuhusu ni gani? The economy. And Kenyans have forgotten that politics and economy go hand in hand. When you have a politician who is dead from the neck upwards and they make a policy on the economy, it will affect you. So this idea of Kenyans saying, Ruto na Raila waende waongee huko, haituhusu, they need to realize inawahusu ndewe na sikio.
Ndu umesikia?
Mita sikio better.
Sijui kama Ndu amesikia ndewe.
The sikio nimesikia.
Ndewe na sikio.
Ndewe, I'm not sure where it's going. Yes.
Kuhusu I got.
Get involved. It's a call. You don't remember after the election last year, 8 million Kenyans didn't vote. So they felt like they were not relating to the process.
Haiwahusu.
So I was telling them, inawahusu, because even if you work in a good company and the economic policies don't work here, the company will leave. And even that insurance you're getting, you won't get.
Ati yo kazi itaenda.
Itaenda, so inakuhusu. Guys who get power.
Sasa siwaambie Ndu ndewe ni nini?
Ndewe ni this part ya sikio. Ndewe na sikio.
Outer
I think it's this kalob. It's called the kalob.
It's called an earlobe.
Yes.
Okay. What does that have to do with it?
You see now, kitambo. Oh, not kitambo. When wahenga were coming up with these sayings, I think gossip used to be taken through the ear.
Right.
So you're told, why is it affecting? You say, when you're told, kwani inakuhusu, you say, inanihusu, the ear plus the earlobe.
Okay.
To make it look like it is very important.
Everywhere around the ear.
Yes.
It husus you everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah? Money and goto. It is the money and the goto. All right. So Kenya's biggest conversation is excited to have you here, Justina. Yes, you've been complaining. Oh, but you surely it's okay.
Thank you.
You're here. Let's just deal with that. Sawa.
Yes.
Yeah, bas. Kuna mtu City anasema City, that look is malaria.
Okay, yani na maradhi.
Unavyokaa leo. Salala. No. Kuna mtu kaumia.
La haula.
All right. Our second guest is Eunice Lumalas. She's an advocate and an arbitrator, and she's in Women in ADR. Eunice, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you.
Karibu sana to the Situation Room. That's the hot seat of the Situation Room. Make yourself comfortable.
Thank you.
To welcome you to the show, City has the day's proverb, and this week's proverbs are from
the Republic of Guinea.
Okay.
This is our final proverb from the Republic of Guinea. Knowledge is like a garden. If it is not cultivated, it cannot be harvested.
I'll take this back. Sorry, maybe you wanted Eunice to go first. Let me go first. I'll take it back to what we study in schools. Kenyans are always asking, where is vector helping me? Where is this helping me? So probably we need to sit back and realize there was a purpose that vectors was put there to show you directions. Because Kenyans are like, inanisaidia. So cultivate the knowledge you get in school. Make sure that even if you're not using it, there's somewhere you're making use.
Where? Eunice, what's your interpretation of it?
Actually, I think it's very apt for our conversation today because we are dealing with an issue of civil unrest and maybe to go deeper, conflict management and resolution. So when you do not have the requisite skills, have not gone through the learning and training of effective resolution of disputes, then you will not be able to use that knowledge effectively. And I think what we have, unfortunately, is a leadership that is not intentionally aware. Maybe they don't have that knowledge, or maybe they don't know how to apply it on how to manage and resolve disputes. Yeah.
But our political leaders, by nature, they know how to navigate these waters. You'd assume that they know how to navigate waters. You're always dealing with conflict one way or the other. You have your supporters and your opponents, and you're always trying to manage them. You're trying to manage your opponents so that they are less curly on you, and you're trying to manage your supporters so they also just remain as your supporters. So about resolving disputes, when you say that we have a leadership that seems to be unaware of how to do it, are you not being unfair on them?
Before I went myself through the training of dispute resolution, conflict management, I would probably think like that, But I think one of the essential skills that maybe induction for the executive, for parliament, would be training on conflict management and resolution, because it's a different ballgame than being on the campaign trail and dealing with your supporters. Because what we have now, currently, in our situation, not in the situation room, I hope.
Maybe even here.
But in our country, we know that conflict is part of our livelihood. And in fact, we can't do away with conflict. We must embrace it, because there's a positive aspect of conflict and there's negative. But if you're not aware of what triggers conflict, of how to handle communication in a potential conflict situation, then you'll not handle it well. And we have seen it in practice, I can assure you, in Kenya, from the time of the government came into place, and then finance bill, we could see there is a potential escalation of conflict. But we could also see there is a deliberate lack of management of that conflict by those who are close to the president, and maybe no one is there also to be able to speak on behalf of the government, or be able to say that one doesn't speak on, just management of information as it comes out. Hence, that proverb makes sense. If you don't know how to use it or to manage it, then it won't be
It's like a garden.
Yes.
Okay, I hear as if you are advocating for the political leadership of the country to sit down and go through some dispute resolution. Why is it important?
Actually, there's no other option. Eric, there's no other option. Right now, the only option is dialogue. And it has to be professionally managed.
Dialogue between who?
Now, you see, unfortunately, maybe I can look at the poster for today's session. It was Azimio
and Kenya Kwanza.
Now, the people have perceived their conflict to be perhaps that the government is not listening to them, you see. And there's always a need to be represented. And now, in terms of the opposition, probably people don't see that there's anyone else to represent them other than the Azimio leadership. Okay? So that being the case, it's important that Azimio leadership rises to the occasion and takes up the representative role of the people, understand what they want, and then take that to the dialogue room. It should never ever be about personalities. It's not about Raila. It's not about Ruto or our president, Honorable Excellency Ruto, or Raila, which is also, who is also an honorable excellency. So it's not about the honorable excellencies anymore. And I think that's the beauty of conflict. Conflict gives us an opportunity to address issues if we are ready to move forward as a country. This is a golden opportunity to dig down, to get to the root of the problem and put the issues on the table.
Justina, do you agree that there is no other way?
Where we are, there is no other way. But I want to tell Kenyans that Shimon Peres tells us if there is a problem, if a problem has no solution, it may not be a problem, but a fact. Not to be solved, but to be coped with over time. We need to accept that kuna mshindi na mshindi. Ama is it mshindi na mshindwa? That is something we as politicians have to tell our supporters. Because sometimes this angle comes every time there's an election in this country, ilibiwa, and then IEBC is given so much money to ensure their security features on the ballot. There are so many processes, there are so many meetings that politicians are called to by IEBC. So I think we need to first accept that there's winning and there's losing. That is the starting point of this conversation. But as it is now, because of course you have to look for, because at the situation as it is, we have to look for something else, or what can we do about it? We have to rules a bit. It has always been that when there's chaos, Raila is called somewhere, there's a and money is poured. So I dare say right now, if we want to just the peace and tranquility, because the government owes us that. Tanzania people are sending TikTok, I think you've seen, they're saying, musikuje kuharibu kwetu. And I'm very happy they're saying that, so that Kenyans can realize we don't have an alternative home. Mukiharibu huko mwendi kule. Raila apewe pesa. If that is what he wants, he's given money. Number two, government needs to realize that fuel is the issue. Sometimes you pick what other governments did that have worked. Why not return the fuel subsidies? They can't tell us they don't have money. We are seeing the globetrotting. We are seeing the extravagance. They have money. So let them give us fuel subsidies for one. And then they're taking photos on their shambas with maize. I want to remind government that maize, they will not force the farmer to sell to them cheaply, because they just gave fertilizers at 3,500. There was a cost of transporting the fertilizer to your farm. There were input costs. So they need to have a conversation with the farmer that we are going to sell to you this maize, because I don't know why for some reason unga is the issue in this country. We forgot that we can eat chips now. Potatoes are cheap, peas are cheap, carrots are cheap, but we don't want to look at the alternative.
Chips are not cheap.
Now the potatoes, you see that the 10 liter is going for 30.
Bei chips imeshuka.
Imeshuka, say ni 50 bob. Really? Mtaani chips mwitu. I mean.
Na before ilikuwa pesa ngapi?
150. 100. Say you can buy chips for 50 shillings because the potatoes are available. Now we cannot refuse this availability of potato.
Well, I didn't know.
Oh, you don't eat?
No, I eat chips. I even eat potatoes. I just didn't know. Price had gone down.
Then it takes us to that joke. A man was saying, today I took my daughter to the salon. My wife asks me for 3,000. Imagine I spent 700 shillings. So maybe you didn't know because of... Are you getting that joke? Yeah.
So, I mean, here and they're the opinions that are being put forward. Have a conversation, talk. My belief has always been that the people who are most important in this conversation are rarely brought to the table. And that's the majority of Kenyans who are walking the streets, who are hoping that there's a solution on a daily basis whereby food is cheaper, the cost of living is affordable, that you don't have to think, how will I survive the day? The most important people in this conversation are not being brought to the table. Is it time that the most important people in the conversation bring themselves to the table instead of being invited?
They have to. And that comes to, where are you voting for a person? We need to revamp our politics. In this country, when you ask someone, why are you voting for this one? Because Uhuru alikuwa anatesa Ruto, I'm voting for Baba because he's my tribe. But we never have those principles of a political party. The other places you see, if there's even a snap election, people are going to vote, for example, Labour or Democrats because this is what we stand for. For example, in this country, we don't even have a middle ground. We don't have moderates. And sometimes when you try to have a divergent view, if you don't support Azimio, people say you're in Kenya Kwanza. We've never come to a, you can have an alternative voice. Kenyans always want the best for this country. But during voting, they forget principles, inclusivity and diversity. They forget. They forget.
I ask you, do Kenyans understand what's best for the country?
I mean,
people talk about it, yes, but do they even understand it? Do they, if best for this country was staring at them in the face, would they know this is it? If someone asked them, describe what's best for this country and what it would look like, would they be able to describe it?
They know what's best for their politicians, but not what's best for their country.
You see, the conversation about IEBC, the conversation about fuel, the conversation about unga, Is that really the conversation? Because everything that we talk about arises from decisions that have been made by people. Now, what sort of people are these who make these decisions? Because they live here.
A product of society.
They live here.
Yes.
If I may chip in, one of the reasons we see what is happening is because our democracy is not working as it's aimed. Supposed to.
Do we have a democracy?
We do have. We do have.
Describe
now,
it.
let me tell you, what we are supposed to do is to elect representatives in parliament. These representatives are paid from our funds. They're supposed to represent our interest. The opposition may be frustrated now because they are not able to get it going. They are not able to get their members working as they ought to in parliament. This society, unfortunately, there's a lot of corruption that mars a lot that is happening. So we have a parliament that is not representative. Unfortunately, just like the principle of law, justice has to be seen. It's how people perceive it. When you have a finance bill, if we are to hypothesize and say the problem is a finance bill.
It is not the finance bill.
Now, I'm just saying if we are, for the purposes of this submission, and there's a finance bill is in parliament, and you see statements going round by leaders that bill should not be amended even by a comma. Understand? Even a dot, it has to go the way it is.
Yes.
These are our representatives. We worked hard. I've worked in government. I was in parliament 8 years when we made a lot of changes in parliament. When there was only serious speaker in parliament, I was in that office. So now,
does this speaker
it's
have
true.
a name?
Yes, he does. He did a very good job as speaker during the post-election violence. Kenneth Marende, we did a very good.
Kenneth Marende is excellent.
Yes, I was in charge of the speaker's office at the time, and therefore I can tell you that we worked hard to ensure the salaries of members of parliament are different at a certain level, and we thought this independence is good. It's the same for independent commissions. We expected, for example, now, because it's not a laughing matter, we are in a strange situation. People think that Kenyans are very resilient and cannot take over. It's important to understand that change in a split second just go to manage people's and expectations.
Sounds like you want to gag politicians. Let them express themselves.
It's okay.
Those who are saying withdraw the finance bill by midnight or you'll face consequences tomorrow morning, let them speak.
So that's why
the others who say we will not withdraw it, we're not even going to touch a comma, let them speak. In the floor of the house, they debated.
It's true.
Those who are saying withdraw it introduced amendments.
It's true.
Those who are saying you're not going to change a comma introduced amendments.
So basically there are issues on both sides.
Yeah.
Everyone has interests. The best option now is mediation. Mediation is the only option. You can mix it with conciliation where interests can be balanced on a table.
But with our politics, do we have different sides really?
We don't.
Is there a difference really? I mean, these different sides we keep speaking of, what are they?
It's interests.
And interest is a commonality of interest, really.
In my opinion, having gone round and listened to the politicians, you'll hear the majority side, many of them saying, I didn't have campaign money, but William Ruto funded my campaigns. So, of course, even if they had an idea that this finance bill is retrogressive, they cannot go against the financial of the campaign. And then when you look at the minority side, they have options. The Katiba has balanced. They have the PAC, they have the Public Investment Committee where they do the oversight of issues. So I think what is happening right now is that the economy is doing so badly that a politician who was funded, because I'm sure both sides of the divide got massive funding from people who had interests. So the one who lost is still getting pressure from the financiers. So they're like, Ebu Skuma, we get something out of it. Betty Liungua, that's the reality of things. Because when I look at the Azimio side, these guys they're somewhat genuine, but they look like they're being forced to do things like sabotaging the economy to a point that government will call them.
But
they're pushing for dialogue.
They are pushing for money and handshake.
But Justina, this is the issue. I was looking at this paper today, And I was listening to the comments that are being made. The reference is the president saying that he will not allow Azimio to ruin I'm paraphrasing, to ruin the economy. Really? Really? When I say this commonality, we are saying that 3 days of protest ruining the economy, actually it affects the economy very adversely. Yes. Simple truth, there's no question about it. But the decisions that are being made by Kenya Kwanza are messing up the economy in ways that 3 days of demonstration cannot possibly even damage. So who is damaging the economy?
Both.
Yes. Now, at the heart of this entire discussion, even as we get ourselves entangled in all sorts of knots about the economy and what have you, you see, the person whose interests everybody appears to represent is left naked in the rain. The same problems they had yesterday, it's not as the same, no, they've gotten worse. And the din and the noise about how the interests are being taken care of are also getting, the crescendo keeps rising, the problem just keeps getting worse. So when we talk about the economy, the conversation on both sides is false. If the opposition genuinely intended to solve these problems, they would have been talking about what they would do. Nothing stops them from having had a shadow cabinet of sorts to be telling us, you shadow. This one says this, you say this. This one says this, you say this. Nothing stops them. But that's not their interest. The government make their promises, say what they're doing, keep explaining to us what's going to happen. And the truth is, some things actually get done, but they don't talk about it enough. But generally, the economy just keeps getting worse. When I say there's a commonality, so when we say that they're different, where is the difference?
They are not. Actually, what you should be fighting for is not the changing of regime, is fighting the ruling class. The people are always the same. The same and over time, you know? That is a fact. One thing I also want to tell government is that, you see Tanzania, they're saying now they are really attracting business because they have positioned themselves as an attractive destination. So when the government is bringing up policies, economic policies on taxation, to give back, you have to give 24 hours as if it's if you don't 24 hours. And then Azimio is bringing political activity, they should realize that an investor uses their own tools. They use Pestel. And then even the Kenyans themselves, I saw a thread on Twitter that investors don't want to invest here because we are thieves. If we make byros, I'll steal 10. If we make sweets, I'll go home with sweets. If I'm like the one who is fueling my lorries, I'll lose my fuel because that is my stock. So even the social aspect, how we are as Kenyans, pushes out investors.
And yet, Justina, if you look at all these websites and all these social media platforms that talk about investors, there are still people queuing to come and invest in Kenya, despite all these things that we are saying.
Now imagine if that wasn't happening. But bringing back to the issue that Ndu raised, at what point do the citizens actually participate? You're pushing for alternative dispute resolution. Where do the citizens play in it? You're saying that these guys are only looking for money. So should we citizens allow them to take our money, or should we tell them, kakando? Tutachukua pesa yetu wenyewe. Anyway, let's take a break. It's 27 minutes to 9. Justina Wamai is a political commentator and the founder of Inatuhusu movement, and she says Inatuhusu ndwele nasikio. Eunice Lumalas is an advocate and an arbitrator, and she's in Women in Alternative Dispute Resolution. We are talking about this political standoff. We're asking, is there an alternative dispute resolution moment here? Ndu. Vehicles.
All right. So imagine a situation whereby you wanted to purchase a pre-owned vehicle and then you talk to your guy. You know how everybody has a guy? Well, in this case, your guy is Automark. Automark is the pre-owned subsidiary of CFAO Motors, and they're saying, come to us. We can give you the solutions that you're looking for. First of all, we make it easy for you to get financing for a pre-owned vehicle. We make it easy so that you're not going to have to get into the hands of con men who will tell you that your mileage is 30,000 when the vehicle is about to fall apart. We will make sure also that you're getting a roadworthy vehicle, and that we can make sure all the details that you need to put your car on the road are met. There's an open day from the 4th to 5th of August right here on Popo Road in South Sea for you to come and see the vehicles and options that are available.
That road is called Popo Road.
It's called Popo Road.
P-O-P-O.
P-O-P-O.
Popo as in bat. This one here, next to Bellevue.
Yes.
Yes, the one with...
Yes.
You know the place, Justina?
I used to see it
Yeah?
when I used to use that road.
It's still there. It hasn't changed.
Oh, okay.
Wakili, you know the place, huh? Former Toyotsu. It's now called Automark.
It's not called Automark. It's
Yeah.
CFA.
If you purchase pre-owned vehicles, that's a place to go.
That's the place to go.
Actually got lost.
So trade in. You can trade in, drive in, trade in, and switch up to Automark today.
Kabisa. bomayangu.go.ke. Get in there, register. As we're talking about all these other things, like CT said, there are some things that actually happen in Uhuru's government, in Ruto's government. They're still going on. There are houses being constructed in the affordable housing program. And for you to participate in it, just register on bomayangu.go.ke. Sasawa. So that you can get into that journey of home ownership. If you're not registered, then start saying, oh, hii imechukuliwa, oh, there's Kimanyano, ujua. Get in there, bana. bomayangu.go.ke.
This is the Situation Room. This Situation Room. The only way to start your day.
I have a brother. He was a pilot. He was laid off. He came to a policeman. He messed up.
He went from a pilot to a policeman. He stole a jet.
Yeah.
He was not marshaled.
The Spice Drive. And the biggest hits from the best decade.
Indeed, it's all about hashtag Spice Drive. WACH 3 to 7 in the PM.
The Spice Drive. Only on 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Damn.
Be at 16, highs of 24 and lows. Where is where it's currently 15. It's sunny at 15, of 13. Sunny conditions at 25 in Mombasa. At 21, it's mostly one. In a partly sunny Kakamega at 22. It's 20 sunny of 31. 6 degrees and lows of 5. Lagos is cloudy at 25. We'll see 30. Friday we'll see highs of 32 in Kinshasa, where it's currently sunny at 20.
Mature.
We're not seeing much of it in most parts of the city. Lunga, well, you know, that's the stand up. And then, so we
Continues 22 minutes to 9. This is a Situation Room with Justina Wamai, political commentator and founder of Inatuhusu Movement, and Eunice Lumalas, who's an advocate and arbitrator and women in alternative dispute resolution. We are seeing this political standoff. We've seen religious leaders, we've seen business people, we've seen others coming out and saying, you know what, maybe it's time. Even the media, Editors Guild has said dialogue is important at this particular point. Do you think it's bad manners if we actually say that every time we have this kind of skirmishes, we just, please, can you just talk? Please, can you just talk? Justina, you're a politician.
It's bad manners because assuming Sifuna, if Wanjiro said that mimi nilishinda, you stole my votes. Everyone, even your local MCA, the one who was number 2 says, even me, I want a handshake. That is why I said some things are not a problem. You can't solve them. You have to cope with them. That you go into a competition, you lose, you kubali. And to be honest, if our economy was working, And I don't want to point at a specific person in Azimio, but if the economy was working, someone would go back to their law firm, they earn their money in another way, instead of wanting to be in government. The tragedy in this country is that public service pays, it's lucrative, but private sector is struggling. How I wish we had a thriving private sector, but when I lose, I'll go back to my biashara, come back the next election. But now everyone is like, I invested in this, there are people who funded your campaigns, they want their return on investment. Additionally, I've sought for votes twice, 2017 and 2022. And let me tell you, on the ground, people forget their problems. Right now, Kenyans are awake to what is happening. But come 2026, 2027, guys will be like, do you have money? This is my person. They forget again that the election, the voting cycle is just like a year. But now we need to move from voting to delivery. That is why at some point in Nairobi walisema, let us give Sonko ndi atatoa Kidero. Guys forgot the delivery aspect, not after election. And then, so I think it's important for the National Assembly to give IBC the money they've always asked for civic education. And then also media, you're doing a good job, because now at least Kenyans are listening and they're seeing this conversation, not towards the election, but at least early enough. Additionally, maybe what media can do, because I know you crowdfund for the debates and all this. Once the IEBC declares that these are the presidential candidates, it's important to have analysts to look at manifestos, different manifestos. Right now, Kenya Kwanza is saying that our housing fund was there, our housing project was there. But I think what we missed is to hear the how. How are you going to fund for it, or where are you going to get the money? So at least if manifestos are analyzed from the money perspective, the how you're funding it, we'll know what you're signing up for.
You know, this MF now sitting in dark corners and waiting with. Prior to any of the stories that we now hear about the government getting involved in housing, the government was involved in housing. That's why we had National Housing Corporation. That's what they did. Now, in the Moi era, IMF and their cousin World Bank came in and brought in what they called conditionalities that guarantees that entities like National Housing stop being what they were. It's the government had a plan. And it worked. We do have national housing houses that exist. Yes. They were there. Now, this issue of bringing new houses, it's not as though, it's sometimes presented as though it's a gift to the people. It is part of the mandate that every government has. And in many ways, you can see they're trying to fulfill it. But there are always hurdles. Now, what I wonder is, and you brought an important point, Justina. Right now, Kenyans, I'm told there's a term called woke. Okay? I suspect it's meant to mean that you're so wide awake, you're not even sure you're wide awake. so you're woke. Now,
it's not woke.
No. Woke. I use the W word, not the G word. Because if I use the G word, I'd be talking about something completely different. This situation that we find ourselves, this wide awakeness, can the citizens realize that every conversation we have, even the one we're having now, it's actually about the mwananchi. When you, Justina, seek an election, it's about getting mwananchi to move behind you. When the government says things, it's to get the mwananchi to support their view. When the so-called opposition say their things, everything is about the mwananchi, the people. The power that a leader has with the people is what gives them power. This simple thing, there seems to be a disconnect. People don't seem to get that they are actually the power. Our constitution went and stated it and made it part of the constitution, but it's it. Now, when everything is about you and really you have the power to change it, and then you don't change it.
Politicians thrive on ignorance of the masses. And that is why I think they don't even want to allocate finances to IBC for civic education. I mean, they're always complaining that there are people who are never even haven't been paid, and they were in their by-election last year, So IBC has been affected in terms of funding. They can't do their projects. But I think mwananchi has to realize that it's not an issue of wanasiasa. Right now they're saying, Ruto na Raila waongee huko. Waongee wapi? And you're part of this conversation. You should be saying that next time 2027 when you're voting, you have children who have gone to school, they have not gotten. When you finish school, get something to do. How? Government is not giving a conducive environment for business to thrive. need to change how they see things about your and I think it's a good thing that we're having this challenge now, and the conversation has shifted from now political and freedom of rights to the economy. Kenyans are realizing if you make policy that is sustainable, the economy will go down. Mboga herself, right? The heat, moja na watu boda, because they are being eliminated from the ecosystem. Everything that is, if you're in the middle class, your company is shutting down and thrive. Mama Mboga will make money because someone will call, Mother, make for me Mboga. The Boda guy will carry more people in the morning who are going to work and in the evening who are coming back home. So I think people should, what I think Kenyans should do, just shun big money spending campaigns. Don't want to be given anything. You just listen to ideas. But it's not, that does not happen. We say it on radio, but on the ground, things are different.
Why? Different. I think that's the question. When you go down to the ground, because we talk about an aspirational population whereby people are invested in good governance and leadership and want to live lives void of corruption and impunity, etc. See where good governance is actually a model that the people can see and say, my vote, the vote that I make on that day translates directly to how well a nation will be governed or poorly, how well or poorly a nation will be governed, and then how I can thrive in this conducive environment that you're talking about. They can see a direct correlation between the two. To be honest, the complaints that we hear today, we are not able to link, or maybe not willing, to link the relationship between the decision you make at the ballot and the experience that you go through today. We can color it how you can say whatever you want about it, but it is the truth. The problems that you see today, the issues and experiences that you see today, as a direct result of the decisions that you make. My question is, how do you get this woke population then to connect the two? To say, clear, the things that I hear may not necessarily be true. Because we know, guys, campaign promises, whatever, are just those. They're just words. That's the truth. Very little intent fuels campaign promises. Right?
What's the question again?
So the question is, how do you get people to connect between this decision that you have made and the experiences that you see today for future decisions? That's what you're saying now.
Okay. To be fair, I've also been around politics and politicians. It's not always possible for me to come and tell you, vote for me because I'm going to ensure that I want a higher salary than I earn right now, and I want influence and power. I want to get you, but that's what it is all about. And to be fair, they have to try and tell you other things like, I will ensure you get a better road and everything. It's just how it is. And sometimes we must see politics for what it is. That aside, there are places where this politics actually works. And how is that possible? Because we're able, even ourselves, in studio, you can help shape this whole architecture by making people focus on issues and not individuals. How do we do that? For example, now we have a crisis, and it's a beautiful opportunity for us to shape conversation into issue-based conversation. How do we do that? There are two levels. The first level is to get a dialogue between people's representatives, whether we like it or not. We cannot have a kikao of all Kenyans coming to give us their issues.
Right.
We can look at the social media comments of Kenyans and understand what it is they feel.
Yep.
What I have seen is Kenyans felt they are not being listened to. That is a cause for conflict. Kenyans feel that the government is arrogant. And are they wrong? No. We have seen comments that are shocking from leaders, and some of those leaders have even, I think the president has also seen it fit to place them aside for certain instances. When you get a foreign leader who comes and said, I would rather not meet this and that official, that's an indictment to your company, the company you keep. And I think it's very serious, even for us as a people, when someone comes to see the president and said, make sure this one doesn't come to the meeting, and these are cabinet secretaries. I think that's a very serious indictment. Having said that, I think there has to be two levels to this. A first level in terms of conflict management, it has to be a session that is led by professionals. Remember what happened with Kofi Annan. As women in ADR, I am a founder member of Women in Alternative Dispute Resolution, and we have a team of over 150 ladies, some of whom are they are professionals in alternative dispute resolution, reconciliation, conciliation, mediation, and the likes. And we have reached out to both sides of the divide. We are willing to give them a team of professional mediators, because without professionals, honestly speaking, sometimes you think I know how to resolve disputes, but there are skills that come with this. So you need a team of professionals. Our is Justice Aloch, currently done on SAC, and we have a team. They can sit with them and help them to navigate the issues. It's not about what happened with the hand. The president say that we are ready to talk, but it's not about the handshake. If he would have left the part of handshake out, he will still be effective in terms of his statement. We are ready to talk is enough, and we are ready to help both sides to find ways to talk.
There's something you said.
The deeper level, sorry.
There's something you said, Eunice, which is it's important for people's representatives to sit together and have this dialogue. Are you only limiting it to elected politicians?
No, I am not. You see, there are leaders in the society. And the Kenyan society has a reverence to religious leaders. They can come to the table. You can get one or two who comes to the table for that purpose together with the team. And basically at this point it will be the team from both sides. It will be government is government, it's defined. And there will be the other team to look at the issues.
We've already seen those who are in political leadership have already defined their issues. What you said about Kenyans feeling that the government is arrogant, that those in leadership are arrogant, that's not an issue that has been put on the table so far. What you said about Kenyans feeling that, the political elite has withdrawn itself from the issues of the Mwananchi. The Azimio side has come up with its issues and said, fungua server, stop stealing our members, punguza bei ya unga. And what's the other issue? There are four, right?
Finance Act.
This other side have said, okay, come, let's discuss this IEBC issue, blah, blah, blah. But where will the issues of the Mwananchi be discussed?
That's perfect.
When they have already defined their issues are fungua server and don't steal our members.
And that's where you need a professional mediator, Kofi Annan type. Yeah, and by the way, when we were coming up with the Elections Act, I remember being at a meeting where we were looking at amendments, and I proposed that it would be nice to ensure that we have a framework for resolution of political disputes by mediation and conciliation prior to their escalation. Because if the president, for example, had someone who is monitoring potential risks, either legal or political or, conflict risk, and advising on that, then there's a way in which you can manage conflict before it escalates.
Sorry, but for me, I don't. This mediation that is taking place is between two sides. They've already decided what the issues are. For me, you're mediating
their issues.
They are the ones who've said this is the majority of the people for whom these issues are weighty. Because let's be honest, and I say it, the people who are out on the streets, the goons every now and then, are not the ones who these are our problems. We want to talk about those issues, let's talk about those issues. Education in this country is a mess. The health situation is a mess. Look at Nakuru. Babies are dying. 4 babies are sharing one incubator, and they say it's a funding issue. What do we want to talk about? We want to talk about infrastructure and roads that have not been finished. We want to talk about budgets that are being made. Borrowing is happening through the roof for projects that exist, don't exist, have already been done. Those are the issues. And then on top of that, Kenyans have to struggle every day to survive, not to thrive. to survive. Those are the issues.
That's
now
why
we are saying invite mediation, and these issues are not even on the
So
table.
now I was
don't steal Sabina from our side. Don't
True. So basically, I had said there are 2 levels to this. The first level is to bring this conflicting situation to rest.
Okay.
The next level is to look at the root cause of the issues. And those, I mean, when you think about the root cause of the issues, why are we where we are? Every 5 or so years.
Because
why are we
all
where?
those
Because
people,
we are not going to the root.
All those people in phase 1 are the root cause of our
So we
issues.
just take them, we drown them in the Indian Ocean.
We go and have our conversation. We can go and have our conversation and then we call them.
Yeah, but no. But the thing is this, honestly speaking, for example, we are still a young democracy, and we can tell for a fact that perhaps this winner takes all presidential system may not be the best for us. Let's admit.
Just let
me give
why. Let me just finish. You know why I say that? When you have one individual who tells people you cannot go to work tomorrow, the day after, and the day after, and he's not in government, and they don't go to work, what does that tell you?
That people don't like work.
The people were looking for an excuse to stay home, and they said, okay.
It's possible.
They're just looking for someone to tell them.
It's possible. It's possible that that's the reason. You know, we don't want to go to work, but there are those like us who are in private.
It basically
business,
tells you this person has political influence.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Again, people. This is somebody who has understood and over time has been able to galvanize people behind him.
Yeah.
It's not complicated.
Absolutely. And
On your question, where do the people come in? They come in when you vote. Then you give your powers to your representatives. The same ones who are saying the campaigns were funded by Ruto, the other one, I love Baba. So you lost your voice the moment you voted for someone who, on the basis of it was not issue-based, it was based on personality or what at that point. Another thing we need to realize, in 21st century, we are living in a world where populism, polarization, and post-truth is thriving in politics. The lie about you, the more I'm getting bonga points. The more I say msiende kazi, the more I'm getting bonga points. You see? So I think when you look at the issue of conflict, one is of preventing the conflict. The Constitution had gave modalities. During voting, declaration, you go to the Supreme Court and all that, and then someone is sworn in. That was part of preventing conflict.
Yes.
Right? And then issues of early warning signs. Before Unga issue, Azimio was saying that Kenya Kwanza bribed their agents. So early warning sign, the weakest link is agents. Take care of your agents, get agents who are loyal to you. As in, it has always happened.
Protect them from the thieves.
Today we are talking about now.
We do not lose our power when we vote. We never lose our power. It's not as though once you voted, there's nothing you can do. No. There's always something we can do. Always.
So we just
Which
abscond
is?
Yes.
and abrogate
Which
that
is?
power.
Yes. Eric has gotten it because instead of understanding that when you've given someone a function, you need to supervise and make sure they do it. And if they don't, you do something about it. We do this with our everyday lives. And yet, when it comes to the most important thing, people make decisions about everything that's important to you. You don't supervise them. You don't call them to account. How is that possible?
Remember, there was a law on recalling. And then, I don't know.
It's still there.
It's there, but you're told you can't recall before 2 years.
No, it's been watered down to the point where it's ineffective.
Right.
Or next to impossible to implement.
Exactly.
But the Constitution still provides for it.
Yes, but you can hold people to account.
Without
You
necessarily even having to recall.
You don't even need that clause to be able to hold them to account.
For example, now we are talking about the Okoh Mwananchi. You're in WhatsApp group with your Mheshimiwa. But the only time you use your phone to call Mheshimiwa is when there's a burial, is when you want them to send you handouts. Remember, I want Kenyans to realize that your vote has a lot of power. Don't just vote for someone because unataka kumsaidia lipe mortgage yake. Some people argue, Mheshimiwa is like, if you don't elect me, I won't get pension for the next. You see, that I've been on the ground. That's the conversations Kenyans tell you. Wacha tumpe tu ndio apate pension. I think 5 years you don't get, but after 10 years you get. So already Kenyans have been taught issues of this. It's not about the issue. And that always ask Kenyans a question. Meaning that, hakuna shule. But why are you taking your kids to school? Because you're expecting in future they're going to get a job, they're going to thrive. But where are they going to thrive if the policies are not favorable?
That's
so
it.
Inahusu ndewe na sikio.
Bas. Eunice, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You ladies should come again soon.
Why not?
Together and separately. As Eunice will put in the legalese variously. Okay. Eunice Lumala is an advocate, an arbitrator, and one of the founders of Women in Alternative Dispute Resolution. Justina Wamai is a political commentator, founder of Inatuhusu movement. Keep it here for more conversations. In the next hour, we have a Health Friday conversation, taking care of children with disabilities. 9 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Demonstrations and no meanwhile, Embassy Zimbabwe Pascal kept president had right small blocks note Professor Juan Polo Ben and just the others and has a country salaries by at least 60%. NAT National Chairperson Patrick Karenga Munuhe said the teachers in the country have a huge workload and this is expected to increase as schools prepare for enrollment. Munuhe was in Mombasa after attending the annual general meeting for the NAT Kilindini branch. The meeting was also attended by officials from the Kenya Primary School Head who gave their report stating that the teachers are likely to have a higher workload than what they used to have before. And the late Rongo University student Sharon Otieno's mother took to the stand Thursday to deliver testimony during the hearing of the murder case against former Migori Governor Okoh. Sharon, the Melinda Uma, a teacher by profession, said the deceased was her first child and that she had been involved in which led to her giving birth to 3 children. Melinda went on to say that she took her daughter Sharon with her children after the relationships failed and stayed with them shortly thereafter. She announced that Sharon was pregnant again. The court was told that upon asking, Sharon told her mother that she was in a relationship with Governor Obado, but complained that then county boss was not taking her calls. And finally, Kenya Defence Forces helicopter crashed at Muga County. The chopper, the Kenya Air Force Fennec helicopter, was carrying officials who were part of the entourage accompanying Defence CS Ednah Duale on the tour of the volatile region. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
Was born in break life when you be like that. We used 100 that days of conmanship. That he promise people you up in for you there's no level of honesty.
Kenya's biggest conversation.
So it's not an issue on the road.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room,
8 minutes
the
after
only
9.
way
Good
to
morning
start
and
your day.
to the final hour of the Situation Room this week on this Friday, the 21st day of July, 2023. We are glad you're watching us on YouTube and Facebook. We're having technical challenges today. Leo, as people are saying on the live streams, Kimeturamba, we actually don't even know what's happening. Our machine is just doing like that. The people who are saying it's because CT is wearing this hat today. ina affect the system. Inachukua signal ile kofia ya City Muga. Oyo ameamua leo tu.
Essentially you're saying that my hat is a satellite.
Yes.
Dish.
It's a dish. It is dishing all the internet. Naomba tafadhali mtuwie radhi mnaotuangalia kwenye mtandao. Leo hii kimeturamba. Just keep watching. It's okay. You'll catch the bits and pieces that you catch. For example, if you just caught me saying bits and pieces, it's okay.
Yes,
forget about what I had said earlier.
And move on.
Just move on.
Yeah.
Just accept. Let's work with it the way it's working. Showmax has released the third episode of Faithless, and this is one of the Showmax originals.
It's an original title.
Yeah.
Episode 3 dropped yesterday, so you want to find out, okay, so what did they do with the money? Who's going to find whom? Should they keep it? Should they return it? Who do they return it to if they were to do this? So it's Esther and her 3 friends. They're going to go to church and ask the priest, what should we do? Then she finds out her brother is involved in this whole racket. Should she keep her brother safe? Do they run away from the ringleader? What is going to happen? Faithless is on Showmax. Log on to showmax.com. Subscribe and watch. If you missed the first 2 episodes, you can catch up on that as you wait for the next.
Indeed. Boma Yangu, just in addition to going to www.bomayangu.go.ke to find out all about the affordable housing program, this is the government's affordable housing portal, bomayangu.go.ke. You can also register through your mobile phone just by dialing star 832 hash. That is star 832 hash. You'll be taken through the prompts. Just follow the prompts, and what happens at the end of it is that you are in the register, and then you'll select one of the houses that are under construction, one of the projects that are under construction. And once the house project is completed, then you are alerted that this project is completed. These are the number of houses that we have here. These are the size of the units: 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, or 3 bedroom. Now, do you want to purchase one? Yes. What size? This size. All right. So the computer then does the algorithm thing.
That's how algorithms sound.
That's how algorithms sound. The back sound.
Yeah.
Kama hujaingia kwenye mashine kule. Hujui. And then now it picks you. Yeah?
Ule.
Yeah. Sema ID number so and so. Charles Muga.
Fiam.
Yeah. And if you select that house and you own it, then that's it.
It's yours.
That's it. That's it. You continue now paying rent to own. Becomes one of the options. Let's have a Health Friday conversation. And today we want to talk about children who live with disability, or children with disabilities, children with special needs. Eva Naputini Nyoike is the founder and director of Okoh Special Tutorials and the chairperson of the KPSA Special Education Needs Subcommittee. Good morning, Eva.
Morning.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you very much.
Hey, hata wewe vile umevale. No wonder our internet is also, yeah.
Need to be okay now.
Hey. Oh, now this is neutralized cities.
Neutralize what's going on here.
It flies under now.
Chini ya maji.
Chini ya maji. This will neutralize it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Siti, why don't you welcome Eva with the day's proverb?
This is our final proverb from the country of the Republic of Guinea. Knowledge is like a garden. If it is not cultivated, it cannot be harvested.
Knowledge is like a garden. If it is not cultivated, it cannot be harvested. Deep, isn't it, Eva?
Yeah, it's true.
What's
It's
your
a
interpretation
fact.
of it?
You see, a garden, when you have a garden, you have to nurture it. And it's so much in line with what I'm going to talk about today. Thank you so much. So it's in a garden, you can, you have weeds, you have put your seedlings, so you have to nurture it for it to grow. Can I say one for you?
Yes, please.
Yeah? Knowledge is like a baobab tree. You know a baobab tree? It's huge, isn't it? No one individual can actually reach right around it. What it means, what does that mean, Mr. City?
That the baobab tree is big.
No, please, go deeper. A little deeper
Okay,
than
but
that.
your arms can't go around it.
Yes, so what do you need to do?
Cut it.
Wow.
I'm being facetious. Get others. If you really want to
go around
get
it.
others and lock your hands together, then you'll be able to, yes.
Absolutely, well done.
That's so beautiful.
So profound, thank you.
Well, I didn't say burn it, I just said cut it.
No, you said cut it.
Eva, introduce us to KPSA. What is that?
All right, so Kenya Private Schools Association is, I'm sure that's what you were wondering what it is, right? Kenya Private Schools Association, that's an association of Kenya Private Schools directors that we come together and have formed an association that will just enhance and work together for the promotion of providing private education to our learners in Kenya. Yes.
That's it, huh?
Yes, that's
Okay.
and then now we have different arms and different subcommittees. So I happen to be the chair of the Special Needs Education Subcommittee.
Okay.
Yes.
Why?
Why? Because I have a school called Okoh Special Tutorials. That is a school for children with, with disabilities. But right now, what we have done is that we have started practicing reverse inclusion. So we've been a school for children with disabilities for the past 30 years. Now, in the past, let's say 2-3 years, we now introduced a totally new foreign concept known as reverse inclusion. Shall I say why?
Yes,
and what it is.
And what it is, and how it works, and how it doesn't work, and all that.
Okay, good. So with reverse inclusion now is, as I said earlier, we've had a program for children with disabilities. And my children are mainly children with intellectual disabilities, neurodiverse children, children who have autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy. So neurodiverse means that these are children with diverse, different neuro brain. So a different kind of brain and the way they receive information and process information. So I have been a very strong advocate of inclusive education. So even within my school, we would admit the children, work with them, provide the services they need. Then now, after some time, when we realize that they are ready to be integrated, we now integrate them into a mainstream school. So we had different schools that we work with, and now according to the child's ability and the child's needs and parents' ability, also financial ability, we would now transit the children into typically mainstream school. We realized that we had a lot of challenges with that because what's going on out there, a lot of schools, we say we are not equipped to deal with children like this. Or parents are just not comfortable moving from a special needs school where they're getting all the services into a regular school where now the child is no longer receiving the services that they need. So we had a lot of challenges. Teachers were very apprehensive about taking on these children. So we decided that as I am advocating for inclusion, I am not practicing it. So I decided in the school, let us start the reverse inclusion. So it being a special needs school, let us now open our doors to learners without disabilities. So we did that a couple of years ago. It has been an interesting journey, and we started it by admitting the siblings of the learners who are currently at Okoh. They live together at home, right? So if they live together at home, why can't they go to the same school?
Okay.
Yes.
And was this strictly for the purpose of the later years where now you want to introduce this child with disabilities into mainstream school so that they have had an experience of being with other children who don't have disability?
You can look at it that way, but the main goal here is to actually introduce both children, those with disabilities and those without disabilities, to each other.
Okay.
Because you appreciate that there is no special world out there that the children with disabilities coming from a special needs school will graduate into. They will come into our community.
Okay.
Yeah. So now, once we introduce the children without disabilities to come and learn with children with disabilities, we are preparing both children to be members of this society that embrace diversity.
Okay.
Yes.
Eva, can we take a few steps back here? We look at people living with disability. Now we're looking at children with disability in school.
Yeah.
You talk about what did you call it? Neurodiverse. Thank you.
Yeah.
You talk about neurodiverse children. So you're talking about intellectual disabilities here, your autism, your cerebral palsy, Down syndrome. These cannot be cured.
No.
This we know. So what does an education then provide for these children? What does being in school provide for these children?
Okay, thank you very much. For them, what we look at first is that, number one, they are children. Yes, first they're children. What do children need? What are their basic rights? Yeah, they need to be in school. They need to be with other children. They need to be given an opportunity, an equal opportunity to learn. Now, for our children who have who are neurodiverse, first they're children. Second, they learn in a different way. So what does it mean? We first need to look at their needs, and their needs will, what do their needs look like? We are looking at their communication needs. We are looking at their academic needs. We are looking at their social needs. We are looking at their independent living needs, skills of living. We are looking at a holistic person. Where is this child when they come in at school? What are they able to do? So you do an assessment. What are this child's needs based on the way they are presenting themselves today? Based on that assessment now, you create an individualized educational plan for them. So this individualized educational plan will look at all these areas. It will look at the cognitive, which is the academics. It will look at the social skills. It will look at the communication skills, the independent skills, the motor skills, and then create a program that now will enhance this child's development, according to their strengths. What are they able to do? What can they do? And then now we come up with a program for them.
Okay. Do you find that when children come into the system and as they progress, that they cope better because of these things that are offered, these services then that are offered to them?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely, because you're meeting their needs.
Right.
A child, I will not even call them regular children or typical children, but a child without disabilities has a natural progression of development. And they develop especially in regards to the environment around them. So if they're with their peers in school, they will imitate what their peers are doing. Yeah.
You know why I asked this question, even not necessarily because the thing is, because there are a lot of parents, we cannot ignore that there are lots of parents who have children with disabilities and they keep them at home. They do not embrace school for many things, and in some cases can be understood. They are afraid. They do not want their children to be treated differently. They do not want, even though they are different.
They don't have access to schools.
Yes, they don't know that this. Or they don't know that your child can actually cope better in this environment if you actually do introduce them to some kind of formal, education. So our first instinct, our parents' first instinct might be, I'm going to keep that child at home. There are those with beliefs that we know, traditional beliefs, that this child has been cursed, bewitched. Thank you. So you're going to ring fence that child at home. So that's why we're saying, in this formal system, do we see that children can then start to bloom within that situation? And so is there a case to be made for putting them in?
I think what we need to look at is the opportunities, equal opportunities. But let's go back to parents. We need to also think about this. When this parent was expecting their child, they have been told that they're pregnant and they're expecting their child. They are expecting a certain type of child. We all did that. We know that the child who we are carrying right now, we have dreams and we have expectations of this child. Then this child comes out, and this is a child now who comes in and clearly they have a disability. Already the parent is crushed. They have to mourn. They have to go through that process, right? Then that parent has to deal with that reality. Then we are out here. Yes, here we are walking around doing everything with our children without disabilities all over the place. We carry a lot of myths and misconceptions. What you have just mentioned, witchcraft, demons, the mother was drinking, the father did this. And a lot of times it's the mother who is blamed for it. Yes? So you can imagine this parent who already is going through the issue of losing that child that she's been hoping to get. Then she goes out there and meets this group, a whole team of people who are sitting there with their myths and misconceptions about her and her child because her child is different. Parents are traumatized, and we are the ones who traumatize them because we already make judgment. So if the mother is looking for a school or the father is looking for a school, they're already, when you look at it, there's already an impression that has been made about them. The children are treated differently. The children, if they're in a situation where, in an environment where people don't understand them, they will be ridiculed, they'll be teased, they will make fun of the children. So what would you do as a parent? You will embrace your child, and you'll take your child back home. So as a society, we are the ones who need now to embrace diversity and be able to embrace these children and know that they are capable of doing so much more. When these children are given an opportunity, equal opportunity to education and to even activities that will enhance their gifts and their talents, they are able to demonstrate so much more. But without the opportunity, how do we know what they know? How do you know what they can do?
Sounds like there's a need for awareness.
Absolutely.
Right? So for the entire society to be aware that this is a possibility, that you can actually have a child with any form of disability, but that there's an opportunity for them to get an education and there's an opportunity for them to thrive. Now, case studies are the ones which would be very important. Acorn has been in operation for what you've just said, 30 years?
33 years.
33 years, all right? How about using some of those as ambassadors so that they come back to the community and we see that this is what has happened? Parents so-and-so took their child, Acorn took them, and then they were reintegrated into the other formal schools, and this is what happened. And they've been able to thrive so that people can just start normalizing. When you talk about inclusivity, inclusivity starts with awareness, so that then you can include these previously excluded members of our society.
Latiff, you know what we do in Acorn when parents come to see us? And you know, a lot of times when they come, they're really broken. It doesn't matter how much I speak to them. I can speak to them until I'm blue in the face. But the best way to get them to embrace what's going on is to actually send them to another parent, or even give them a number of one of our Acorn alumni who's doing so well. So we have them all over the country. They're working in different places. They've created their own organizations, their own associations. Those are the people who now advocate for their children, for children to go to school. Even if they came when Acorn was a special needs school, but they are now our advocates for inclusion. You said about creating awareness. Yes, that's one of our mandates. We need to create awareness. And one of the things we are doing right now is having, we have different functions and sessions and just sensitizing the community. And right now, actually, and I thank God that I was able to come in today, we are having the Ubuntu. We're calling it Ubuntu. Second, Special Needs and Inclusive Education Conference. So we have that. We had the first one last year at the Kenya Institute of Special Education, and we are having the second one this year. The first one was very successful, and now we are having the second one this year. And that's another way of creating awareness. Our goal this year...
Who attends these conferences?
Who attends the conferences? The last year we had... Last year's theme was targeting the community, because we needed to demystify disabilities from the community level. So we had the community leaders, and we had the CHVs, we had caregivers, we had parents, we had teachers, we had the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Health. We had really policymakers coming in there. And the idea was to have panel discussions where we are listening to the voices of the parents, the voices of the persons themselves with disabilities, the persons of the teachers who are frustrated when they're dealing with the children and they're not equipped with skills to work with these children. So last year we worked on the community. So demystifying the religious organizations. Because if you think about If you go to church, how many children with disabilities do you see in church? If you go out to the mall, how many children with disabilities do you see out there? How many children with disabilities do you see on your day-to-day movement? Yeah. So we created that forum. So this year what we are doing is we are looking at the early years. Can you imagine if a child is blind today and they reach school going age, they probably live in let's say in Kajiado, they will be shipped to a school for the blind.
Yep.
Right? And this is a child who is 6 years old. So what we are saying as in the Ubuntu conference, Ubuntu is the African philosophy of I am who I am because we are, isn't it? It's the philosophy that embraces everybody. So with the Ubuntu philosophy, what we are saying is that this child should not be shipped away from the family. This child should go to the nearest school, ECD school, that is available to them. Right?
Yeah.
How do we do that then? Is to retool the ECD teachers at a community level to be able now to embrace these children and have them included within their ECD program. So we are looking at early years.
Who's to do that?
Who's to do that? You and I. How? By creating that awareness. All right? The modalities of doing that, attending a conference like the Ubuntu conference, getting some skills, and working with the community, the county government, yeah? Because ECD is devolved. That is their docket. That is their mandate. So they need to equip the ECD teachers so that the ECD teachers can be able to include these children in their schools.
Why July for the conference? Or are we going on to a break?
Let's take a break.
Let's take a break.
And then we come back. 29 minutes to 10. Eva Nyoike is the founder and director of Okoh Special Tutorials, and she's also the chairperson of the Kenya Private Schools Association Special Education Needs Committee. We are talking about taking care of children with disability and how support them to thrive. Eva, for your school, Okoh, I'm sure you have vehicles, right?
You sure have, sorry?
Vehicles at your school.
You know what? The vehicles, the school buses, what has happened is that the parents themselves have taken up that responsibility.
Very good.
So we do have that, but it's organized and managed by the parents.
Very good.
Yes.
Now, when you go back and talk to the parents, when they're going to refresh the vehicles and they're thinking of purchasing, vehicles for the school, and you want a pre-owned vehicle, we have a place where they can buy. Where is this?
It's called Automark. Automark is the pre-owned subsidiary of CFAO Motors, which was previously Toyotsu, right? It's here on Popo Road. City likes that name. Popo Road. On the 4th to 5th of August, they're having an open day where you can come in and learn about the vehicles that are available, what financing options are there, and what they're doing is they're taking out or they're eliminating the challenge that most people will find when they are purchasing pre-owned vehicles, right? Somebody wants to tell you about mileage, which doesn't really exist. Somebody wants to tell you that this was or was not an accident vehicle. Many things are coming to play when you're purchasing, right? So they're saying, how about you drive in, trade in, and shift? And shift with Automark, because it's been formalized and it's been made into a place whereby you can come in, get the information, and drive away with a swanky new vehicle.
Wow.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to...
It's that time again when we get to gather around and let the great engineering, raw power, finesse, and motor love for motoring at the Annual Motor Show 2023. Car lovers, bike enthusiasts, spare part dealers, insurance, as well as asset financiers and more, this year's Mega Motor Show will be one for the book. We're talking 20th to Sunday 23rd at KICC Grounds, Nairobi, where we will have something for everyone. So you better miss out. Get the family and toys that will give you last memories and an experience you're bound to not forget. For more information or participation, contact Caroline on 0723-803601 or email senior@standardmedia.co.ke. Bigger Motor Show 2023 is brought to you by Standard Group and Digger Motors and is powered by Spice FM. You have been saving and are now seeking a safe and secure investment return. For an investment that cushion from call 0719-034-550. With of as little as 200,000, you can start collecting rental income from your unit at estate in Kasarani by Centum Real Estate.
The sun is up in. We'll see highs of 4 and lows of 12. At 19, it's mostly sunny in Nakuru. Highs of 18. Mostly sunny of 15 degrees. Eldoret is sunny, going to highs of 5 and lows of 14. That's 25 and sunny. Highs of 31, and we'll see highs of 30 and partly sunny. Kakamega at 20. At Kampala of 28 and lows of 18, and Dar es Salaam will go to 31 sunny. 60 in Johannesburg, lows of 5 in Lagos with highs of 30. 32 high in Kinshasa at 20, and looking at Friday afternoon, Beijing is cloudy at 24, high 20. Paris at 16, high 21. It's clear still. New York into Friday, high 27 and 20.
Take the money. Who's gonna know? Can't one run until he finds you. You could run and go far away. Think about your role in church. No one will know. It'll be your own secret. I am warning you.
4 church members pray for their crimes when they're drawn into a life of sin and violence in the new Showmax original series. Now on Showmax. Sign up to watch at showmax.com.
Hey, you're good? It's been a minute. I don't see you at the apartments these days.
I'm good, but I moved.
Ah, better job, a better pay, more rent, huh?
Wapi owner.
Alright. What are you talking about?
Listen, I was tired of paying rent. So, I remember I always told you, I need my own.
Where? See, you must be a pretty penny to have bought a house or even paying a mortgage.
No. I turned to Boma Yangu. It's a government project for housing.
Now what is that?
Live the dream. Your home. Log on to www.bomayangu.ke or dial *832# or walk into any Huduma Center countrywide and start your towards home ownership today.
It's not been too terrible today with traffic in the city. The least of them.
And are now seeking a safe and secure investment for a profitable return. For an investment that cushions 0740-400-215. You can now start rental income for Unit 125 Palm Ridge in Kilifi by Vipingo Development. When the engine revs, will you be ready to get all that petrol head enthusiasm at this year's Digger Motor Show? Well, you better belt up and make your way to KICC from 20th to 23rd of July 2023 for a wholesome day event. Come and join car lovers, bike enthusiasts, spare part dealers, insurance, as well as asset financiers for what will be an unforgettable experience. We are going all out to make it a great show for you and the whole family with something for everyone. So, you better not miss out. For more information or participation, contact Caroline on 0723-80301 or email sinyandiaka@standard.co.ke. Digger Motor Show 2023 is brought to you by Standard Group and Digger Motors, powered by Spice FM.
Spice FM. Spice up your life. Business news with Spice FM.
I'm Dennis Aseto. The government has by a and a 2-kilo packet of maize flour is set to drop again next week, coming at a time when the price of the commodity has breached the 230 price point. Currently, a kilo packet of maize flour sells between 220 shillings and 269 shillings. The Community Development Agency is banking on new improved service for 600,000 smallholder farmers. Each of these, such as a mobile application, short message, and an unstructured supplementary SaaS platform, tea farmers will now be able to receive daily, weekly, and monthly notifications on plucked tea weights and notifications on payments. Insurance industry gross premium income grew by 14.8% in the first 3 months of the year, rising 104 compared to 88.4 billion shillings in the same quarter last year. Insurance Regulatory Authority performance statistics for the first quarter of the year attribute the growth to the continued economic recovery from the negative effects of COVID-19 in 2020 and 2021. The income has been rising for the past 3 years, rising from a 5-year low of 79.3 billion shillings in quarter 1 2021. Bank Kenya PLC has removed transactional notification messages and e-statements. Head of Premier and Liabilities Simon Gashahi said that the waiver is in response to various customer experience channels. For Spice Business, I'm Dennis Aseto.
Spice FM Business. Morning. Spice up your mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Ivana Putini-Nyoike is the founder and director of Okoh Special Tutorials and chairperson of the Kenya Private Schools Association's Special Education Needs Subcommittee. You were about to ask a question.
Yes.
Do you remember it?
I do remember it.
Very good.
The question is as follows. We're in the month of July, we have a conference that we've been told about. Why July?
All right. Last year, we held it in November. And that was really when they were having exams. And the people that we felt should be in the conference were engaged with the examination processes. Yeah. We were advised to actually have it in July because July is during, we have the school holiday in July. So it's actually during the school holiday, and we can be able to target the teachers and the private school directors who have a say in inclusive, the inclusive agenda.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's question
and
number
the parents are also available.
Very good. Question number 2. When you started this school 33 years ago, why special needs? 33, that's the previous century.
It's in the Moi era.
Yes. It's a long time ago, a really long time ago. And just private schools, without it being special needs, were in vogue, and there was money to be made. Go into this difficult, really difficult process of starting a special needs school.
A special needs school. Okay. It's interesting because as a young girl or a young child, I really loved children. I didn't think I would be asked this question, but I'm going to continue talking about it. So, as a young
what
child...
What do you want me to ask you? I can ask that one also.
You already asked. It's like the way you said you'll cut the tree. Yeah, you already asked. He's still going to cut the tree, so let me just go on. So, I really loved children. And during my let me say, A-levels, I got pregnant. And when I got pregnant, the baby was born and I was at home. Remember, that was in 1984. You couldn't do that at that point, right?
No.
I was not married, and I got pregnant and I got my baby. I was at home with my parents, and then my baby got sick at some point. And when he got sick, we took him to hospital and everything. Cutting the long story short, he was diagnosed with hemophilia. He was hemophilic. And I spent all his life with me. He spent all his life with me because I would breastfeed him, I would stay with him. I was everywhere with the baby. So he got sick, and he got sick on Wednesday. We were admitted in hospital. Thursday, he went into a coma. Friday night, the doctor comes, and I remember him walking, and I could see a smile, and I thought, yeah, he's okay. So he comes in and tells me, your son, we called him Papa. He said, Papa has a very rare condition. It's called hemophilia. And I'm like, what is that? And apparently he had, hemophilia is that you don't have the plasma to stop the blood from clotting. So he bled. He was bleeding. He had a bruise on his side of the tummy, and he also had a big bruise in his neck. And the doctor said that he had bled into his brain, and said that he's in a coma. He's going to be a vegetable. And he told me he's going to be he'll have severe mental retardation. Those were his words at that point. And I was already into education. I knew after my A-levels I was going to study. I was actually going to study special education. I'd applied to study special education in, I went to High Ridge at that point, and I was told I can't do it in High Ridge. So I applied to go to the States. I had admission to go to the States to do special education. And here I am being told that my child will be severely mentally retarded. So I said, that's fine. And spent the night praying and asking God just to let him live, let him breathe. And I promised God, and I said, if you let him breathe, I promise I'll be the best mother of a child who is severely mentally retarded. And I remember those words. And I prayed and I pleaded so that the next morning, when they were going to come and say they were going to switch off his oxygen and whatever, life support, because as he said, he's going to be a vegetable. You're young, you can have another child, and all that rubbish that they tell you at that time. So I listened, and I'm holding my baby like this, and they switched off the machine, and he continued breathing. And it was like, hallelujah. So he was breathing. And there was Papa, and I didn't see any change from when he went into a coma and when he suckled well. He was still, when he's feeding, they always holding something, either your face. My son used to like holding my finger. So as he's breastfeeding, he would hold my finger, and that's his bliss. So he was like, it didn't change. I didn't see any change. He was smiling. He was responding. And that was on Friday. So Saturday, we were with him. And Sunday, 4 o'clock, I'm holding my baby. He's breastfeeding. And he lets go of my finger. And I look at him, and he's gone. He passed on. And I was so mad. I was so angry. Because we promised each other with God. And he went. After that, I proceeded to go to the States, and I did my special education, and I came back to Kenya. TSC refused to employ me because I had my degree. At that point, it was diploma. They said there's no job grade for me. All those, again, a lot of issues. So I went, and that's how I started my school. And when I started ACON, when I had my last interview with TSC, and they said I'm too young to teach at Kise. I was only 20. I was 24, and they said you're too young to teach at Kise. You're teaching your fathers and your mothers. Rubbish. So I went and I started a school. I just put an ad in the papers, and I said special education teacher looking for a job. And I was living at my folks' place. The phone did not stop ringing. That's how the school started. But along the line, as I worked with the children, parents would bring their children, and I worked with them and everything. I still did not join the dots with Papa until when I joined those dots. And I realized what God really wanted was not for me to be a mother only. I am supposed to be the best service provider for any parent that has that child that people call vegetables, because my school is filled with really beautiful, very diverse children, children who a lot of schools will not receive or admit. So I think that is where that came in, because where will they go? This is me walking with my son. If I was told he's going to be severely mentally retarded, he's on my back. I have strapped him, looking for a place where he will be accepted and loved unconditionally, where the parents will be able to come in
and comfortably
sit there and know I'm in the right place. Yeah? So for me, that has been my purpose, to create that environment where these children come and they are loved unconditionally. Whether they will respond as you smile at them, or whether they will respond to their names, or they will move, they are loved. Whether they are drooling and they have mucus all over the place, or they have peed on themselves, they cannot go to the toilet, they are loved unconditionally.
Where is the school?
It's in Dagureti, Mohori Road. It's called Mohori Road, Dagureti. Okay, now it's the road between Wayakiwe and Kikuyu Road. Yeah? Okay. So there's a windy road in there. It's called Mohori Road. Right. That's where we are. So that is my why. And at that time, a private school, I think I was the second private school in the country to have to do special education. I was asked by so many people, why are you going to America to spend your parents' money to do a course that will not give you money? But it's not about money. It's about your purpose and your reason. Yeah? And that's now through this conference, I keep going back. We want to create that awareness and let people know that these children are able and they're capable. They just need to be given an opportunity to be able to express themselves and to see what they can do. But for us to do that, we need to change the mindset. We need to talk to the teachers. We need to show them that it's possible.
Sure.
Yeah.
Even as you say that, the burden of children with disabilities in this country is far greater than those needs that are being met. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And easily to say that government is overwhelmed. And in terms of the know-how of how to handle these situations. So whether you've embraced it or not, you and others working in this space are at a unique position whereby you can hold hands with government. Have you ever considered that?
We do. We work very closely with the government. But I just want to raise something here. Our last census, how many are we in this country? What's our population?
We are over 50 million now.
We are over 50 million,
yes.
All right? Now, according to the World Health Organization and UNESCO, 15% of our population has disabilities.
Yep.
15%.
That's huge.
Now, what is the 15%? Let's say of 50 million.
Let's
do math here.
Almost 10 million.
7.5.
So, it's about 7, let's say even 7 million.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about is that 7 million people in this country have disabilities.
Yep.
Okay? Now, when we look at that 7 million, we are told that 2/3 of that 7 million are children between 0 and 18. Okay.
Right.
Can we work out that?
5 million.
5 million. Now, when we look at our statistics in Kenya, our last census indicated that we have about less than 1 million persons. That
with
means
disability.
Adults
and
children with disabilities. My question is, where are those other people? Why were they not counted? Yes, we need to find out why were they not counted. Are we not equipped to be able to count and identify these people? And the bottom line here is budget, money. We in the area of disabilities cannot speak when we don't have figures.
Yep.
And there is a deliberate effort, and I can say that for free, to ensure we don't have those figures. Yeah? If we needed and we were serious about it, our census, the questionnaires would have been very specific as to how do we collect the data of these children and persons with disabilities, if at all we can even get to where they are.
Are you saying that there's a silence conspiracy?
I can say that, and not even silence. It's very loud. It is very loud. Because where are these numbers? Why is Kenya different? Why is Kenya different that we don't, our percentage is 3.5. That was what was indicated in the last census. 3.5 out of 15. Why are we so we are so special? We are so blessed that we don't have, our numbers are not that high. That's a myth. That is not a fact. We have numbers, but because we are not being able to collect the correct data, we are not able to go to the government. The government does not have resources to be able to even equip their teachers to be able to provide effective and appropriate services for our children with disabilities. We don't have resources. We don't have the infrastructure. Yeah, it is expensive, and it's all because of numbers. We don't have the numbers.
Okay, let's start with the numbers that you could get.
Yes.
All right? So, as Kenya Private Schools Association, the number of private schools that are taking care of children with any form of disability, I'm sure you would be able to have access to the numbers. What numbers are we dealing with? Children with disability in private schools in the country.
Okay. I can say for a fact that when we talk about private, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Cost. What else? Business.
Yep.
All right? Now, we've had private schools who are willing to take children with disability, to include them in their schools. What's the first thing that we need to think about? The community. What do the other parents go out there and say? My child is learning with a child who is doing like this, so my child is copying the behavior. We are actually having a lot of challenges. But I'm very happy to say that as the chair of the SNE subcommittee, we have really been advocating to the private school directors to not just look at it as a business. Yeah? Let us include these children. We have let's say, I think our membership of Kenya Private Schools is probably, let's say, 4,500 private schools. Out of that, in the past 1 year, or let's say 2 years, I can comfortably say at least 500 schools are now beginning to practice inclusive education.
Okay.
Yeah. It is also a very small number.
So do you have the figure of the children with disability in the private schools?
No, I will not say that I have that figure. It's something that we are collecting right now because it's a new concept. We wish to be able to do a at the end of the year.
How many are in the public schools?
How many in the public school? Okay, that is something that has been out there. 1999, there were 22,000 children. 2003, we had 26,885. It increased. 2008, it's gone up to 45,000 children. So in the public schools, it is gradually increasing.
Are we increasing the number of schools?
No, we are not increasing the number of schools. We are increasing the number of children
going to the same
disabilities going to the same schools. Our country has, our education system has units, and it has integrated schools. So we have, and then we also have special schools. So for the public special schools, we have about 751 special schools. Yeah, and this is just purely special schools. Yeah. Integrated schools, we have about 2,700 integrated schools. So the schools are there. But the question is, compared to the number of children with disabilities, are they enough to cater for them?
And how far from communities are they?
Exactly.
Because if you think about a school for the blind,
Yes.
how many schools for the blind do you have in a sub-county?
Okay, you see, that's the thing.
So you start now thinking, bringing back the conversation to what you were saying,
Yeah.
how about we start thinking of actually integrating them more and more to the schools that are closer to them? I think we need to have a second part of this conversation soon.
Yes.
Right? Thank you very much for joining us, Eva. How do people get in touch with you if somebody would like to get in touch with Akon?
With Akon, I think what I would also want to say, can I give my phone
Please.
number?
Yes.
Yeah, so they can get in touch with me on 0725 959 137. And they can also register for the second Ubuntu Inclusive Education and Special Needs and Inclusive Education Conference. And I can give them the website to that. It's ASNEN, ASNEN, Africa.org.
ASNEN Africa.
ASNEN stands for Africa Special Needs Education Network. They are the ones who are running the conference. Yes.
Thank you very much for joining us. And thank you very much for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation. Eva Nyoike is the founder and director of Akon Special Tutorials, and she's also the chairperson of the Special Schools Association Special Education Needs Subcommittee.